Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be covering the second deck that CarePackage of Shadow Nexus had taken to NGE. If you haven't seen the first video, you can go check that out. It's pretty straightforward. It's a shadow deck, I'm guessing mostly built to beat out Blood in the mostly early game, but also tends to do quite well against other decks, at least from my testing. I had a pretty break even overall, probably around 50%, but these are tournament decks, so in ladder they don't perform anywhere near as well as they do in a tournament setting. So this, to my knowledge, is all created by CarePackage and other Shadow Nexus members, all just kind of grouping together as a team does. And being a part of Shadow Nexus, I get that insider information, which is quite nice. So these decks, you know, pop up here and there. But it performs well. The One Thane is actually quite decent when you do pull it off. The Demon Lords obviously being a key finisher. Phantom Howl is a one-of, just as a tech towards that Cerberus combo, I'm guessing, for the most part, even though I didn't tend to use it that way personally much. Other than that, you aim to knock things out. Double trades with the Lurching Corpses, Necro Assassins, Yerds, all those sort of things. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we'll get right into the games. So our first matchup here is against Blood. I believe Caribos Blood, which I kind of wasn't expecting. I was expecting an Abyss Blood, but versing Caribos is always quite interesting. I'm pretty sure that's what this deck was, if I remember correctly. The first one should have been. So we're dropping most cards, going for that early card, keeping the soul conversion for that draw, and hopeful combo with Lurching Corpse. Unfortunately not drawing much, which makes this a pretty weak hand. Having double Demon Eater is not good when you have nothing to proc it with. So I have to make a pretty terrible play and just play that Demon Eater out so I can hopefully combo with another Demon Eater in the next turn and maybe even soul conversion that one. Just depends on what I decide to do. They do go for the Bahamut, which should have been a pretty good indicator that it wasn't Abyss for that early draw. And Demon Eater obviously getting the double card draw here is really good. And fortunately drawing that Lurching Corpse means I shouldn't waste that soul conversion yet. Not quite yet anyway. So we've got another Lurching Corpse, pretty good, so we can just play both of those without too much issue. That Bahamut not really doing much to us at this stage of the game. Just pinging those 2 damage. And Hungering Horde killing both Lurching Corpses. Nearly should have expected that. Boy Cried Wolf cannot be attacked by followers with 1. So, not a big deal. I just kind of leave it up, not really worried about it. And this is when I realized it really wasn't a spawn deck. This Wolf and the Hungering were really obvious plays. Big Knuckle getting his value as always. Fortunately, we get this Death's Breath off. We don't need the stat gain on it, like the Necro abilities. We only wanted the bodies and the trade potential. Because we have the Demon Lord, which can boost all these next turn if we get that off. And we've also got the Phantom Howl and the Mimi Coco combo that I want to save for the Shadows. So, at least this way, the Demon Lord play does okay. I do make a minor mistake. I should have been better off when I do play this Demon Lord. Instead of evolving and trading to Caribos, just trading these zombies and leaving myself with the evolve point for the Phantom Howl combo would have been better. And would have left me in a nicer spot. Although this does do the job. And thinking about how low to drop them, because I didn't expect this Revelations play. I don't know, I just haven't played against many Caribos Bloods, so I really didn't see that coming. Plus the Mask of Death being an annoying card, otherwise I would have had Lethal if it wasn't for that card. So instead I decided to just throw the Phantom Howl out anyway. I know I can combo with soul conversion for a possible draw, so I thought, why not? We can try and pull something else. We end up getting a Demon Eater, which can then be comboed again for even more draw. You know, why not? Other than that though, we play the board, get rid of this mask, and hope the next turn goes well. Don't want to take too much risk, but just enough. They play another Caribos. They do stack, making things a little more difficult for me. Luckily, we do have a Necro Assassin, meaning this Cerberus is a pretty easy death coming up. So we play another Skull Beast, we proc the Necro, giving us that little bit of a kill, and then we just aim for mainly damage. Why not? You know, they're so close to death, any major damage we draw will close out the game. Big Knuckle doing his job again, clearing us off. Cerberus luckily leaving them at 6 permanently, so they can only make about a 2 to 3 card play at the most per turn, with no really big threats coming down. So little Soul Squasher actually deals with this. I don't tend to do that very often, but sometimes Soul Squasher is quite good for stuff like this. But Zombie Party first, obviously, I want that board. That's why I played the Zombie Party in that way. Plus we have another Zombie Party and the Undying Resentment, so we're not short on burn damage. Luckily that ends up getting us the Concede, so I like that. So our next matchup is against Sword, which keeps things fairly fresh. I mean, I don't mind facing Sword these days. Nowhere near as bad as the old Albert days, where they just dominated the board. Our starting hand's pretty weak. The Cerberus Phantom Howl isn't great in your opener, at least from what I've been playing. I'd much rather have something in the early drop range just to deal with threats, especially when most swords are running a neutral or mid variant, so getting that early pressure is quite valuable. So we don't have much. We do have this soul conversion that we may as well use. Unfortunately drawing some pretty weak cards for this turn. So we get not too much here to play. They do go for the ambush, so I realize that maybe they're proccing a more Infiltrator sword style. Lucky this Undying Resentment, picking it off, leaving us with a empty board. Little disadvantage, honestly, but nothing that we can't handle in the long run. Draw a double soul, may as well get one of those out, soul conversion it for extra draw, and get another Soul Squasher. Just a nice little play, I thought, looping them. Being able to get that Necro Assassin that can deal with the ambush followers is quite good. Unfortunately though, we don't get to take advantage of it because we do have to deal with this Luminous Mage. Luckily though, we have a Death's Breath, a non-evolved Death's Breath this time around again, sorry, a non-enhanced Death's Breath again, where we can just hit them in the face. Well, not enhanced, I keep fucking up enhanced and Necro quite often, but you just get the idea. So we deal with that. They do go for card cancel. I make a small misplay in the following turn when it comes to dealing with this card cancel. So we have Zombie Party, which is a solid turn 7 play. I should have hit that 3-3. Oh, sorry, not hit that 3-3. I should have hit the 1-3 and then rammed into the 3-3. That way I wouldn't have had to worry about the Bane effect, and I would have had basically the same board damage with probably the same. I probably would end up in the same spot, honestly, but I feel like that would have been better. So again, they're going for those damages, trying to kill me off in the quickest way possible. So we just drop our Hector, screw it, we're just gonna get that 8 damage to their face, kill off their little 4-3 and leave ourselves with an okay board for the following turn. I thought this was pretty good. Fortunately that 3 damage is crucial, killing off my entire board, which is kind of unfortunate. I didn't expect them to have that. But the Soul Squasher Necro, killing off the ambush, not leaving them with anything on board, and then being able to proc more draw for myself, because I really didn't want to be left with what I had. I wanted to have a nice hand stock and use all my play points this turn, so turn 10 I can really pull something off. Especially when we've got the Cerberus and the Phantom Howl in hand. I can combo those in this kind of late game scenario to do some real damage. Unfortunately though, we need to deal with that. Which Necro Assassin, again, doing its job, just popping things off here and there. Not quite as good value as you get with the Necro Lurching combo, but alright. Still getting rid of a lot of followers to draw more cards. I really like the amount of draw power this deck has, especially when you're coming into late game and you really need it. Alrighty, so they try and go for a defensive type of play, I guess. Myself, go full offense, Immortal Thane, Undying Resentment, get rid of the 1/1. Kind of a waste, but totally worth it, just so that they can't easily get rid of all this in one foul swoop. They go for the old man and the old woman, which are pretty beastly when evolved. Like, they do look crazy strong. Fortunately, we do proc the 1 extra damage to their face. And then there's not much they really do. I'm not sure as to why, but they do actually concede here, which is odd. I had a pretty solid hand. I mean, the Phantom Howl and the Cerberus, along with the Rite of King, would have been pretty easy lethal in the coming turns, but there wasn't really the need to do that in that way. I just don't know why they did that. I'm guessing they either run out of damage or they just realized that, hey, this is too much of an uphill battle and I can't really face that. But it was enjoyable to at least verse sword. So we are versing Blood for our third matchup again. This one definitely was a spawn deck, and one that was pretty quick, I guess. This deck finally did what I wanted it to, running off the early game and the mid game pretty well. Alrighty, so we just play out our first few turns, don't really play anything big, just curve out nicely. Luckily this Necro Assassin now has ultimate value with that Lurching Corpse combo, which is really nice. Proccing the Tove and the Actress pretty nicely. Making sure that we don't take any unnecessary damage. But we have some okay options left with this now. We just get a few more cards, deal with what was on their board. This matchup pretty much plays itself out, where I just have to deal with their board continually until turn 6, in which case dropping their health to a low enough total that it's not really an issue. Leaving our board solid. You don't want to be playing Spawn of Abyss on a board like this, and luckily they do, meaning we pretty much have this game locked up. I just really didn't have much to say for this match. I mean, the plays were all straightforward, being able to curve out nicely, get our draws, and leave our board open for a Demon turn 7. I really had fun killing the Spawn player, honestly. Just wrecking his face. Okay, so that will wrap up the top NGE decks from probably close to last week by this point, nearly a week ago I guess. But for the first round of NGE, I'll be covering pretty much every week I believe. I'll probably have the 2 decks go up maybe. Just depends on if the decks are of a nice variety or just different or something like that. Or if SN wins, I tend to cover those a lot, so why not? So if you want to check this deck out, there will be a link in the description along with the Game Press source link, and congrats to CarePackage for taking the first slot of the Invitational. And I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.